Ali Aslan. Ali, thank you so much for being in the studio with us. First off, give us some insight into Olaf Scholz's political career and where he's going to take Germany to.
Efnan, I think it needs to be fully understood what a political miracle it is that Olaf Scholz was sworn in as Germany's 9th post-war Chancellor today. 6 months ago, no one, I think even his ardent supporters within the party, would have bet any money on the fact that he would be sworn in as Chancellor today. He was down and out. His party, the SPD, was seen as regressive, as outdated. Annalena Baerbock and Armin Laschet were seen as the front runners, but they made huge blunders. They ran weak campaigns, and here we are today. Olaf Scholz is a very proven quantity, if you will. He's a very known factor in German politics, a constant presence throughout the years. Sibel has already mentioned the numerous posts he's held. And so the Germans are not looking at a new chancellor today, at a new chancellor, of course, but not a new face, not a new figure. We know Olaf Scholz, and he's a very soft-spoken man, and his style, Efnan, was probably going to resemble Merkel more than the outside world might let on.
Right, and he does indeed have a lot on his plate. Germany is currently facing a number of issues. Number one, in my opinion, being the coronavirus pandemic, a rise in cases. How do you think Scholz will take on these problems?
Efnan, you couldn't be more right. I mean, this government has to hit the ground running. They have no time. There's no time for honeymoons here. And the pandemic, as you said, will be their number one priority. The German numbers are sky high. Germany has not dealt with the pandemic very well. Olaf Scholz knows this. And so we will have to see. There's talk about a vaccine mandate in Germany. Already the public discourse is very divided on this. It's very poisoned. So he has to tread carefully here. But it seems that more stringent measures will be taken into place, and the vaccine mandate I see as an option. Let me just point out that the new health minister, Klaus Lauterer, actually is somebody who has divided opinion throughout this pandemic. He's been very much a proponent of tough lockdowns, tough measures, and therefore it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. He's certainly a figure who has polarized quite a bit. So this Germany, this country, and rather Olaf Scholz, has his work cut out for himself, that's for sure.
Right. Now Scholz officially formed Germany's first national coalition with the Greens, Free Democrats and Social Democrats. How do you think things will work under this coalition compared to Merkel's time?
It'll be very interesting indeed. This is the first three-way coalition, as you pointed out, with two parties who actually on paper don't have much in common, the Liberals, the FDP, and the Greens. As a matter of fact, they have opposing interests. I mean, let's just take the example of climate change, right? The Greens obviously is very much in their DNA. The FDP, while obviously not opposed to battling climate change, see themselves as a more pro-business, business-friendly party. And they, for instance, are holding the transport ministry, a very important one. They're very pro-car industry. And how they want to reconcile these positions in the coming years will be very interesting to see. I think Olaf Scholz, while the chancellor and the most powerful figure, for him, I see a more moderating role here in the next 4 years between the FDP and the Greens. It'll be interesting.
All right, let's talk about foreign policy. How do you see foreign policy being led under Scholz's ruling?
Efnan, the interesting thing is Germany has had 3 major televised debates throughout this campaign, all 90 minutes long, and not a single foreign policy question was addressed and asked. That just shows you how low of a priority foreign policy, as a matter of fact, was both to the politicians and the German public, as a matter of fact. But here, too, they have to hit the ground running, because you have a very explosive situation at the border, Belarusian-Polish border. You have, of course, a Russian military buildup in the Ukraine. And everybody's looking towards German leadership here. It is, at the end of the day, the most populous, the most powerfully economic nation in Europe. So clearly the expectations are high. I think they're aware of the expectations. Whether they are willing to deliver them, that's a different story. But the main pillars of a German foreign policy, they don't change, whether the Chancellor is Merkel, whether the Chancellor is Olaf Scholz, or someplace else. Meaning the bedrock of German foreign policy will always the transatlantic relations. Right. That is something they will keep relying on, even though it's a different ballgame now with the United States withdrawing more and more from world events.
Okay, Ali Aslan, thank you so much for joining us here in the studio and sharing that analysis with us.
My pleasure.